Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Highly Suspicious Podcast with Louie and Preston. My name is Louie.
My name's Preston.
We are reporting once again live from the Trap House. So, this is not your regular average episode, and that is because we are filming the second annual Spooktacular in a couple of days, and we have a lot in store. We're not going to give anything away yet, but just be on the lookout for it. It's coming out on the 27th. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, this is a little teaser, little appetizer to tide everybody over. Today, I wanted to talk about this Van Gogh thing. So if you haven't heard, this wasn't widely reported. I think we both saw it.
I think it was widely reported. I think I saw it all over the internet.
Yeah, it was
which
definitely
is
how
the news works for people our age.
Well, I told Caroline about it, and she hadn't heard about it. And I told my parents about it; they hadn't heard about it either. And we'll break down like the root story first, and then we'll kind of go into what's interesting about it. So basically, these climate activists, they came into an art museum.
It's
with
like the
Campbell's
British
can of soup, and they went up to a Van Gogh sunflower painting, and they spilled tomato soup all over it, and then they glued themselves to the wall. And this was supposed to be somehow in protest of like climate change and indifference, whatever.
It's not about climate change. I'm gonna start off with that. It's about oil specifically. So the message that they give after doing this, the gluing themselves to the wall thing, I get where you're coming from with this being like comedic. Because A, yes, what does the tomato soup have to do with it? And B, gluing themselves to the wall. But it's a thing that protesters do. Like, they will glue themselves to walls. They will tie themselves to stuff so that they can't be moved after their act of protest.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to play the clip of what they actually said when they were glued to the wall. Because I just saw the clip of them, dumping the tomato soup
the
all
one
over.
that got replayed. Because
and I think that what they actually said is illuminating.
Interesting.
So I'm going to play it.
Worth more, art or life? Is it worth more than food? Worth more than justice? Are you more concerned about the protection of a painting or the protection of our planet and people? The cost of living crisis is part of the cost of oil crisis. Fuel is unaffordable to millions of cold, hungry families. They can't even afford to heat a tin of soup. Meanwhile, crops are failing. Millions of people are dying in monsoons, wildfires, and severe drought. We cannot afford new oil and gas. It is going to take everything we know and love.
A few things about that. The first is obviously like this kind of a reach to make soup like the point of this protest, because in the back of my mind I'm thinking that it's somehow like a Warhol thing, like reference to like the Warhol can of soup. But that's obviously, it's a fucking Van Gogh, not a Warhol, so that doesn't necessarily make sense. And then they try to relate it to food insecurity. The organization that's supposedly behind it is called Just Stop Oil. That makes it like, okay, so I get what Preston is saying, that it's about oil.
It's about how it's like unsustainable to view this as the continued like fuel source, the continued, and it is like they're right about it being correlated to the housing crisis. It is like infrastructure, and part of it is this unnecessary thing. And I think particularly being aware of the fact that that's in the UK, And right now, Europe is about to really go through it this winter.
Facts.
With the price of oil in Europe.
Definitely.
And so it really is going to affect them a lot in the near future.
That's true.
And so
good point.
I get it. And I also totally understand what you're saying about it being like performative and being kind of silly. Because some protests are like that where I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
So that's the root of the Twitter thing and why it was an internet thing, because the funny part of it all was everybody just being like, what the fuck does Van Gogh have to do with any of this? Van Gogh caught a stray. That's what this episode
I honestly think the man wouldn't have cared, though. He didn't think his art was valuable in the first place when he was doing it. So
that's against the point. I
think it's more so about getting people's attention. That is famous
Van
painting.
Gogh's dead, so who gives a fuck about what his opinion is?
It is a famous painting, and that would probably be the reason why they would choose it, though.
People were trying to figure out, like, when I told Caroline about that story, she was like, the only thing I could really think of how this could be correlated to, like, climate and environmentalism and shit like that was that it's like an oil painting.
True.
But
I thought about that too, but
she and I both agreed that that's a huge reach.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what they were saying in the video, because they were saying, what's more valuable, art or life? What's more valuable, art or being able to eat? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, bruh. Like, on a very surface level, it's just like, that doesn't make it connect for me. Mm-hmm. Because I saw that after the fact. I saw what they actually said after the fact. After
saying
I had
what they
these
did.
questions of how the fuck this connects to climate change at all.
Yeah.
And the short answer is that it doesn't. I'd like to thank, first of all, Preston for posting something about this on the story. And I'd also like to thank my cousin for hitting me up about it, because he sent me this TikTok basically debunking the whole thing. And I'm going to pause the TikTok at points to talk about different things. So yeah, I'm going to play that now.
This is so much worse than I ever could have imagined. So let's get into my proof of why this attack on the Van Gogh sunflower painting was funded by big oil to make climate change activists look bad.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, just off of the rip, I'm already prejudiced against this because it's a TikTok. I hate when people try to put important shit in like a
TikTok
format.
Yeah.
Even though it makes it more accessible to people, it's just like, it's
then,
ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly immediately. And I'm also distracted by this person's, like, teeth. I don't know about you, but it almost looks like she has, like, baby teeth.
She
and I want to just
conspiracy theorist vibes.
I just want to get that out there that I have a thing with her baby teeth, and I don't want to.
I'm gonna put her face on the video, and one of the hashtags is why the baby teeth.
I don't want to be mean. I just want to get it out in the open. I want to be honest about how I'm feeling about this video step by step. Because I wouldn't be bringing this up if I didn't feel like there was some legitimacy to it. So part of...
You're just calling out your biases. Gotcha.
Yeah, part of dispelling legitimacy is being honest, right? And being honest is good because you address counterpoints as they happen, because there are a million people like me that are like, oh my god, they're playing a fucking conspiracy theory TikTok about this right now, and that's so ugly. And I agree.
However,
bear
with us.
Let baby teeth continue.
The organization responsible for this is Just Stop Oil. Now, I wonder what's on their website. Oh yes, here where you can donate cryptocurrency, what all climate change activists absolutely love.
Now,
that's weird.
That's...
You know what?
That's
solid point.
That's loose evidence. That's circumstantial evidence. That evidence.
I get what they're saying though, because crypto
law
is also like in some ways bad for the environment.
It's a discrepancy because environmental people do hate cryptocurrency because it is a big thing.
And it's also ultra capitalism.
Yeah, it's ultra capitalism for one, but it is also bad for the environment
In
because
some ways,
of
yeah.
the super computers and the
All that
million
shit.
computer interface that they have to mine the shit and keep the infrastructure going. So it's rare that you'll find an environmentalist that defends cryptocurrency. But like I said,
Not unheard of. I don't know.
it may be a
It's
rule,
possible.
but there are exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
Know. It's not like you could say, no environmentalist has ever used any form of cryptocurrency, because that would just be a lie.
Right.
But that's not the point.
Oh, they receive funding from the Climate Emergency Fund. That's Eileen Getty. That name is familiar. Oh, that's right. Oil heiress Eileen Getty. Getty Oil, who dumped over 30 million gallons of oil into the soil in New York. So, I don't know. And while I'm not...
So I could really stop the video right here, because that's the most important point that they have to bring up, because the whole shit, well, think about this logically, right? If you own an oil company, why in the fuck would you fund an organization called Just Stop Oil, made to
It's not.
be anti-oil? How does that make any sense?
It's not like
at
that's
all?
their sole source of income. You know, like it's not based
It's
off
a
of that
source.
person's money specifically, though.
It's a source.
You get what I'm saying, though.
Sure.
And from my perspective, I see it as making sense because it's like, for PR, you could say, oh yeah, I operate this business. It's like how a lot of the oil companies try to do some green shit so that they can get some motherfuckers who care about the environment to buy their shit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the car companies that destroy our planet with their other models are like, hey, but check out this new ultra expensive electric car.
I feel like you're so close to coming to the same realization that I did, because yes, that's absolutely what these companies do, but you understand that it's performative, right? You understand,
But that's
that
also the purpose of protest.
That
is
it's
to get
solely
attention.
performative and it doesn't do any actual good.
I mean, the only thing that can do actual good is like policy. But
I
to
don't
bring
think
attention
that.
to the issues, you can do stuff like this, which is performative, but that's kind of the purpose of it, is to be shocking. That's why it's, we're going to throw soup all over this famous piece of art.
So
It's not about Van Gogh at all. It's just about saying, this is a painting that people know. This will get attention.
Here, I'm gonna finish the video, then we'll.
I'm not trying to
Go
diss
deeper.
people who look like this. I'm sorry. This is fucking cartoonish. This is a cartoonish depiction of a liberal. You mean to tell me someone
I
who
get
cares
what
about
you're
climate change
saying.
this much, has dyed hair, which has a huge environmental impact, is wearing fast fashion clothing, both of them? Really? That's who is doing this? So just in the future, if you see some activism that maybe looks a little bullshit and not real, it probably isn't. I cannot believe this. This is fucking horrific. It's as soon as I heard about this, I was like, that does not seem real. God, and they put the fucking two most gay-looking motherfuckers and most annoying-looking motherfuckers to do it. Oh my god.
I'll probably cut out some of that because it was long-winded a little bit, but that's a point that I really resonate with. Like, if it doesn't seem real, it's probably not real. And that's usually a pretty safe
But Louis,
assumption.
that's not proof.
You don't think that any of
That's
that
feelings,
is
Louis.
the
That's how you
the
feel
funding
about the
is
situation.
proof.
The funding is questionable.
Are you kidding?
No, it's questionable, but there are reasons that bad people do things like that to look good.
So So let's go back to the root of it then. How you
I get what they're saying I get what they're saying about them looking like it's faked, like they really did handpick these people and really did construct this cartoonish representation of a protest. But also their final point in the video is talking about like this isn't a real protest. This isn't what real activism looks like. But who's to say what real activism looks like?
We are, Preston. We can't do this. We can't keep doing this. This is complete bullshit to me. And I agree with a lot of the shit that she said. And I agree with some of the shit that you're saying now. Like, a lot of the evidence is circumstantial and it's not like, none of this could be tried in the court of law.
Right, it's not concrete.
But the fact that the root of the funding is from big oil, it's just so questionable, like, what the actual motives are. Like, do we see a lot of, like, real climate activist organizations taking funding from oil companies? No, we don't. And that's a fact.
Honestly, I'm going to just say it. You had me more at the cryptocurrency bit than anywhere else. The cryptocurrency was more questionable to me.
It's all questionable.
That, I guess, okay, I'm halfway there, but I'm never going to be like, fuck them. This isn't real. This is faked. I wouldn't say it's faked. I think that those people might be young and impressionable and might be being used, and that organization itself might be a little corrupt. But I bet that those young people think that they're actually doing activism.
I don't know.
By being performative like that.
There does exist a thing called astroturfing, and I don't know much about it, but I've seen, like, different examples of, like, like, there have been examples, like, a fake expert or an expert, quote-unquote, being used to testify and just completely being bullshit to prove a point. And to me, what really makes this questionable, because, I mean, you're right, the oil money, the crypto, it's all shit that, there's still reasonable doubt on the situation.
Like, it's just sus.
It's not enough to convict anybody, but it's just like, when you look at the protest itself and what's actually being said and how it's being done, it's like, okay, they're doing this for what? Awareness? That's kind of stupid because, like you said, the United Kingdom is going to face, hella inconsistent prices, and especially with oil, and have been dealing with a bunch of shit. So, awareness for who? Awareness for what? These motherfuckers know that the oil price is changing every other fucking day. So how is this fucking breaking news to anyone?
I think
what is the purpose of this protest?
It's more.
If you can tell me that, I will listen.
Oh yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna say that it's probably more so not for the public, but for the politicians. So if you get people just talking about something like that more than they currently are, it might be present in the voters' minds, it might be more present on politicians' minds to actually at least seem like they're doing something about it,
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that the government ever really does anything substantial, but, they could look like they give a fuck for the next year while shit's gonna be really bad. Until, like, next spring where they can stop giving a fuck because at least it's not the middle of winter and everybody would die.
So you're saying awareness?
Yeah. Not awareness in the way of, like, yes, people know that this is an issue, but more so as in, like, making it pertinent before it's too late. Because it's October now. It'll be the dead of winter soon.
I just really don't think that that's that convincing. Because I really think...
I get that it looks silly. And like I said, I do think that it could be that the organization itself is corrupt, and yes, the money is sus, and, like, they seem like young, impressionable people, and I totally get the point of making, like, saying, yeah, their hair's dyed, and that is bad for the environment. But also, activists do not look like who you think they look like. It's usually some Nick addict who just works their ass off because they care about this one thing that much.
Mm-hmm.
They're too busy. They don't give a fuck if their hair's dyed. They're too fucking busy. They did that because they were having a mental breakdown. They're that kind of person. It's not some fucking bearded old fucking man, old hippie man. You know?
So...
The new generation of activists is just some very queer looking people. That's what the one thing that I learned from unionization. I was like, I'm just like, damn, the people who give a fucking Gen Z really are just the gayest motherfuckers.
I think that you're kind of playing into the TikTokers' point, though, because I don't think that the hippie man you described is the prototypical activist. The Gen Z performative activism prototype is dyed hair motherfuckers that look gay.
Yeah.
And the fact that these are the prototypes make it where, you know, we can't definitively say that they're not activists, but we can also say, you know, in the context of everything else, that it seems fucking stupid. But I'll say this. I'll say this and we could leave it at that.
Gotcha.
Awareness about the shit that they were talking about is like if people were doing stunts like that to promote awareness of like 9/11. Like, motherfucker, this is all they're talking about on the news. Everybody knows about it. Who the fuck doesn't know about this? Awareness? Get the fuck out of here. That makes no sense. And you can say that it's real activists that are doing shit that makes no sense, and that's fine. But that's a little less logical in my mind than thinking about them being illogical for a reason. You know.
Yeah.
The idea that is just made to make climate activists look bad, that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot more sense than just activists doing something performative and stupid for no good reason. I know people do that.
Yeah.
I know that there are examples that you can provide of, you know,
performative activism. It just happens. Like, that's just part of it. And so, like, it's a spectrum. Like, protesting is either some goofy shit, like roping yourself to a fucking tree because you want to save a park or some bullshit like that.
But that makes sense.
Or it's like, Louis, genuinely some people protest by burning themselves alive for what their cause is.
That makes more sense too.
I'm just saying, I don't have the ability to say that it's like faked, because in my mind, part of conspiracy, like what causes it to spread so easily, is that it's usually things that at a surface level tend to make sense. You know? Like are easily digestible at first and are easily processed when you first hear it. Because it's like just being about able to it's about being able to make that like quick point to get somebody on your side. Versus like the actual truth, which could be way more complex.
I think that this is gonna sound bad, but all activism is performative to some degree, right? But the difference between, you know, all the other shit that actually has a tangible reason and direction to it, that stuff makes a lot more sense than this. Like, people burning themselves alive because, like, that was, like, a big thing in protest for, like, Tibet, like, free Tibet. And that got a lot of news coverage because it was like, damn, people are willing to do something so gruesome and terrible to themselves
because it deserves that much attention. It is that severe. Yeah.
But in this situation, not only is it performative, but there are no ends to justify the means, and the means are stupid.
Honestly, for me, it's one of those where it's like, but Louis, no matter what, we're talking about it. Like, that's kind of the thing. Where it's like, people are just going to be talking about it. That's still kind of the point.
People have kind of moved on already, though. We're outliers. People have already moved on. The thing about this story, the painting is okay. The painting is all right. The
frame was slightly damaged, quote unquote.
The frame was slightly damaged. God fucking forbid. No one gives a fuck. That has done nothing to promote anything. Awareness, nothing. Yeah. Until I was researching this story, I didn't even hear what these motherfuckers said. No one cares. People care on the base level of, oh, this is a silly thing that somebody did. That's the level that people care. People don't even give a fuck about what they're actually saying. This is bringing awareness to nothing. And the example you gave, like tying yourself to a tree to save a park or whatever.
Honestly, the more base image is just to save that one tree.
Yeah, like in The Simpsons or whatever. But, like, that's something that the protest, the story itself, you know what they're doing it for. You know. This is a situation where, I don't know how you could say that they have a clear point when we're still debating about what the fuck the point of it was from the very beginning. The company is called Just Stop Oil. They barely talked about oil in their fucking diatribe. They referenced like 12 different things. They referenced food insecurity, housing
they were talking
issues.
About how it's all correlated to oil.
Housing issues is correlated to oil? In what way?
They were talking about how, honestly, half of it is that our like money system is based off of being able to afford oil. Because once oil prices start to go up, then you're like, oh, economic decline. You know, they are kind of hand in hand, the value of the dollar and price of oil.
But how much did they actually say that? How much are you putting that on them because that's your perspective? They didn't say shit like that. They didn't say anything like that.
They gotta be quick. They gotta make it TikTokable. That's the only way that people will listen if it can fit in a TikTok.
Maybe we should make a TikTok. Maybe that's the moral of this story. That we should sell our souls.
Hell no. Only for advertising.
Well, we're at 30 minutes. That's longer than we even wanted to
I told you it couldn't be done.
At least we didn't do 40.
That's true.
30 minutes on one topic's kind of crazy, though.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks for dealing with our little debate there.
I like that. We should disagree more often.
We should disagree more often. That was a change of pace. We will have some good content out next week for you. Special episode, per se. And I hope that this does actually do a good job of tiding everybody over. We just needed to get something out there this week, and I think this is a good topic for it.
Totally. Follow us on socials.
Absolutely.
Get ready to get spooky with us next week, a week from today when you're hearing this.